Yo, you know what time it is? It's the Pharaoh. I'm sorry, my fault, my fault. I keep doing this. I got a bad memory on that. It's CoTH Cast 3.0. This to take over once again. Hope you missed me. Happy New Year. If you didn't, that's all right. I brought a guest this time, trying to do this interview thing and get more people more acquainted with some of the people on the server. Special guest, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, I am Regan, one of the GMs on Conquest of the Horde.
Whoop whoop whoop. Thanks for being here, Rita.
Not a problem.
I brought Regan up here because this first concept something that I wanted to talk about. I'll be real brief. I know that there's a lot of people that try to go the maleficent route, if that's a word. I think it is. As far as playing a villain, and I think that the biggest issue with playing a villain is that since we have a very high uh, um, ratio of good guy to bad guy, which is not a wrong thing, you know what I'm saying? But it's hard to prosper as a villain when there's so many people who want to kill you right after your first initial crime, if you will. Something that I've been trying to propose as far as people who want to play villains or somebody who's just diehard I'm playing a hero and wants to kill their villain all the time. I would like to propose something I call the Shredder effect, which most of you maybe not. I don't know. Familiar with the Ninja Turtles? Their main antagonist was Shredder, and no matter his deeds, they would fight constantly, but there would always be that chance of escape. Now, because he escaped, he usually um, could try things again. His plans were foiled, so the heroes still were heroes and the villains still committed their crime. But it didn't end the story. It got to prolong character development and that kind of antagonist. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess antagonist fits. Uh, it's like your main bad guy. Your anti. You can help me out.
Anti-hero? Or no, no, it'd be antagonist.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Anyway, Regan, how do you feel about this concept as far as villains are concerned?
See, I've always thought that just flat out wiping out your enemy just kind of ends a lot of RP opportunities. It's once the villain's gone, then what's the point of the group being around anymore? So a character's lost, yay, you have your victory, and now you're going to fall to that inactive lull. Versus, I much rather have them stay around, like kind of what I'm doing with Regan and Vivian. Skirmishes. Skirmishes are so much fun because they break pride, they really mess either character up, and it's great fun to RP the ricochet of that, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I agree most definitely. Uh, and that's just something that I would like more people to kind of take uh, this into consideration because I'm not going to ruin anything, but there are going to be some villains that are coming up. I would like to see some of these heroes maybe humor this idea because I know that there's this one website where they talk about tropes, I believe, and
TV
one,
tropes.
yeah, and one was talking about like don't bring your big bad out and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, I know that that's a bad move, but I mean sometimes you got to do it to progress the story. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Regan, did you have anything in closing?
Yeah, on the subject of villains, I think a lot of the thing is that people like to play the pants on head crazy villains. They don't really give their villains much depth beyond, ooh, look at me, I'm evil. But I like seeing a lot more subtle villains, which is what I'm trying to do with the confession group, not pants on head, obviously evil, more manipulative.
Right, right, right. I agree. Um, Wrigley had a good post where he said something along the lines that most villains or something think that they're actually doing the right thing or something like that. I thought that was pretty deep. Now, since I want to go into these custom zones because it's been quite some time since I've done a podcast. We got a lot of new zones. Hats off to the GMs and everybody who's making these areas because they're extremely full of opportunity as far as RP is concerned and I enjoy myself. I was here, like I said, I think I'm on like year three, so a lot of these things have just kind of sprouted up in the past 2 years and were just unavailable. And even back in the day, we had fun using regular locations, but these custom locations are fucking phenomenal. Excuse my language. I'm gonna go to the first one made by Regan, I believe, Vale's Heart. Can you kind of give me a little story about this because I really like this area?
Vale's Heart was a result of a bunch of, well, part of my frustration for Night Elf RP, when you'd go into a village, it's just kind of, you maybe got one building and they're always inhabited by
Right.
NPCs, and that really gets annoying. And not to mention a bunch of horde and neutral areas were cropping up, and the Alliance was getting nothing, so I figured, why not try it with Night Elves? I I just flew around, found a spot, and just started randomly placing things until I was able to get a skeleton out of it. I'm actually pretty proud of myself considering it was actually my first building project ever. I just finished it a lot slower than I did the other area.
Yeah, I agree. There was an event that we were at. I believe I snuck into one of the Ash Wardens had an event, and
Yes.
Regan helped Kalari run that event. And at the end of the event, they ended up in Vale's Heart. And this was the first time I've ever saw it. I saw Regan post a little like kind of preview to it. She did it in the forums. If you guys want to check it out, um, there it's just really customizable. Just like she said, a lot of empty buildings for like houses and things like that. It's very authentic to the night elven culture. And I kind of just made a night elf. I really haven't got into night elves for real, but I mean, just seeing how I guess enthralling this was and captivating, I was very intrigued. So hopefully some night elf RP can pop up real quick before we make that switch over to Cataclysm. Anything else? I know you got like a warden character and some rules and stuff. Like, what kind of areas are there besides houses?
There was originally going to be a storyline to the village, but with the approach of Cataclysm so soon, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to pull it off. I might try to make echoes of the storyline and condense it, but there are areas beyond housing. There's the barracks, and there is the burrow, and then there is, of course, the main tree, which the warden resides in. The barracks are blocked off, as is the den. For why, you'll have to find that out.
Interesting. See, I like that these areas do have like some kind of background and story to them. I think it makes it more captivating for the players that are inhabiting it. Because we have a lot of areas that are kind of, I don't want to say stationary, but are areas that we can use for our own story and imagination, such as our noble house locations. But I thought Veilheart was a very interesting, I guess, deviation from our typical custom location. Moving on, I want to talk about the noble house, the Sindorai, the Elven version. I'd like to have you talk about that too, because I mean, you had a big part in that, and this is what you're here for.
The Blood Elf estate kind of came from a similar situation with the fact that, there's not many Blood Elven buildings that are not inhabited by NPCs, and
Right,
a lot of that came from RPing with you and Fairbreeze, where you use that as your essay and you get people awkwardly walking in thinking it was Fairbreeze when we were using it as a different location.
right.
So I finally went, we have this custom patch. What if we just built an estate? So that way the NPCs stop becoming an issue and people stop thinking it's someplace else when you're trying to use it as another location. So then I just got permission and started building that. I don't know what drove me to make the walls around it circular. That was probably the biggest mistake I ever did. I had so much trouble with it, but it looks nice.
Yeah, I think it looks great. I didn't even notice the exterior shape of it. I mean, I'm sure that it was difficult to create, but I enjoy it. I like that everybody who makes these events or contributes has a very fine attention to detail, and whether that's rugs on the floor, pictures on the wall, bowls of fruit on the table, these are all things that really kind of add character to the room. Like, I was there and I was using the location as just like a magistrate compound. And there's one of the buildings there that is like basically a laboratory. It's got a whole bunch of stuff that I don't even remember seeing in the game before. Like, there's like a bunch of test tubes that are like boiling, kind of like beakers and things like that. And it's just, I don't even remember where you guys found these to pull from. And I think to put them all in one room is just very intriguing. I know you guys got another one that popped up. I was pretty surprised about this one. I did not see this coming, but I do think it's fair on how you're talking about the Horde does get some favoritism. But the Alliance has a noble house as well. Do you know anything about that or the construction? Or was there anything about the Sindori house that you wanted to say?
And the Noble House was Wrigley's project for the most part. He's the one who did the building, though I was around stalking and watching him do it.
Oh,
I
well.
love the tiered layer he has set up, how there's a ground level, then there's a higher level. I absolutely adore that. I wish I could pull that off. I never could. The second would be how well things worked. As much as we, would like players to be able to go out on quests and all that, that's not our major priority. If
Right.
NPCs are there and the quest is broken, we'll get to it eventually if we can, but that's not a major priority. We want the place to be RPable so people can enjoy that because we are, first and foremost, an RP server.
Breach.
The majority of the raids are probably not going to work for a while, even though if we can, we will try to get something that'll help them work. If we can't, then, that's just something that's going to have to come in updates. The a big part for the core has been, ease of coding for Kreddle because that guy does the majority of everything on there. If something needs to be added, he has to put that in. So that's why Trinity Core has taken like a #1 spot in what we want to switch to. Though we recently encountered a problem with it where the Worgen's running wild is not working. So we're possibly doing a dual switch where we will switch to 4.0.6 on Arc because Arc has been a really good core as well. And then once the running wild glitch is fixed on the Trinity core, we will probably be switching there as well.
What's
It's
the running wild? My fault.
Running wild just plain doesn't work. It's the Worgen racial mount slash, how they run. They get down on all fours and they run away. It's really silly to watch considering their rear ends are stuck up in the air. I really have all too much to comment on that considering that was Wrigley's project.
Gotcha. Last new zone that I could think of, and maybe I'm wrong, because we have had quite a few, and this is a little old, but it's got a lot of activity. It's a very diversified location, and it was actually one of our kind of requests from the GM staff, and they actually took it account. Ratchet on the Rocks. It's dope.
Ratchet on the Rocks is a really nice area, and I'm really glad at Renson for making that suggestion now because it turned out to be phenomenal. It's really a fun area, You don't really have all that many areas you can go to where you're able to, go out in the street and punch someone in the face, and
Agree.
the guards are going to ignore it because, oh, not my jurisdiction. They're out of my eyesight.
Yeah, I think that was like the last element that we, like you said, we really didn't have on the server. Even in like Murder Row, where you would think would be a kind of shady area, you'd still get blasted by an arcane construct, And I just think that in some of these areas that would maybe have, like you said, that kind of seedy crime spree, I think that it's cool that we finally got that. And then plus on the flip side, there's a nice party chill side where you can't do shit to people. I think that having that duality in one zone is very interesting.
Every city has a dark side to it. I'm really fond of the good side of the city too, the resort thing. Then again, I'm biased. I like my characters getting pampered every now and then.
Right, with the nobles, gotta do the nobles. But I don't know. I like jumping on rooftops and being able to kill people in the street. There was a not kill, but I can attack somebody. But one of the main reasons I decided to make this was so many questions and ideas concerning this upcoming change to Cataclysm. There's a lot of questions that I have. I know that GMs are working back and forth on trying to get the server right and trying to answer our questions. But since Regan's here, I would just kind of ask you to kind of just go step by step with like, what were you guys doing as far as like the whole core thing and looking for patches, and then how did he say this is the one I want, and then like what are you guys even doing?
All right. So, on regards to what we have been looking for in a core, the major part has been stability. Is the server going to be able to handle, a bunch of people on at the same time without crashing constantly? We don't want people to have to deal with that. That's annoying. A lot of people would leave. But, we don't. We want Worgen players to be able to have that. We don't want to just kind of go, oh, no, well, who cares about Worgens?
Right.
But we're working on it as fast as we can. We're trying to get this out because I know the last time we said it, the major restart we had about 2 years ago. We said we were preparing for Cataclysm. We don't want this to be another soon trademark type deal. We actually want to get this out at a relatively fast pace, so that way people can enjoy it, move their storylines forward, get out of this stagnant state.
That's cool. So I heard that there was something about breaking quests. Is that something that you guys had to do too? 'Cause
Some quests we might actually have to break, so that way, the thing with Cataclysm is it makes use of phasing, a lot of phasing, and this phasing becomes permanent, so it's very possible for you to see something completely different than what another person is seeing, or it's also very possible that you're standing in the same spot as the other person, but you two would never encounter each other because of phasing. So the quests that do this, we have to find and we have to disable somehow, so that way people aren't going, oh, well, this village is on fire, while someone else is going, no, it's not on fire. What are you talking about? With any luck, Trinity Core will get fixed before we have to do that, so there's only one jump, because 2 jumps is going to confuse a lot of players.
right. Um, what else do you have for me for this whole confusing topic? I know Caravan's got something about people keeping their names. I've seen a lot of people already asking things about what goblins and Worgen can be affiliated with. Any other random, frequently asked questions you feel like answering?
I know one of the things we're going to have to do is a rate, age, and height guide for goblins and Worgen, like we have for every other race, so we'll be working on that. So I can't think of any other frequent questions beyond, well, no, a main one is, can a goblin be part of the Weedle cartel and neutral? I don't know for a fact if we'll be doing that. You can say you're neutral, but it doesn't mean we're going to allow you into alliance zone, so that's something we have to be considering. Another frequently asked question is the whole, can my currently human character switch to Forsakens? Can my human character switch to Worgen? Stuff like that. We got to figure out how we're going to do a system for that, how we're going to be allowing this. We don't want people just go, oh, I've been bitten by a Worgen, now I'm going to change. We have to figure out how we're going to set a rule in place for that.
Got you. Um, since there's talk about this core, whatever, I have no clue about how this all functions technically. But will we still have access to the add RP, the dot taxi, and the scale changes?
From what I have seen, we will still have access to these commands, so that way people will be able to do their add RP, their, unlimited flights, and some stuff like that. Some
Cool.
things might not be the same. I know one of the problems we have encountered is that we can't say professions can be totally free or something like that. But we can speed up the process so it costs players less.
That's cool.
Like right now, it's on the RAF server, it's about ×5. You make an item that will normally give you 1 point to enchanting, it'll give you 5 instead. If we can't fix that for like other things, like say we can't make flying training free, we'll just have to bump up so that way players can still have their professions as well as everything else.
Gotcha. That's cool. A lot of stuff I didn't really take into consideration that I guess we already have and have had for a while. So basically, you guys are just trying to set up this new world to make it accessible like Wrath is.
Indeed, players want Cataclysm, and we're going to try to give them Cataclysm in the best way we can. Non-buggy, as best as we can for the moment. We'll constantly be working on it if something, players say that something's, not working right, something's giving them problems. I imagine that the first month of the Switch will be the GMs constantly working on fixing more things.
That's cool. Well, thanks. I appreciate the information.
But players should probably start working on preparing for the Switch once we figure out for sure what we are going to do, what core we are going to switch with. We will be making an announcement so that way players have plenty of time to figure out how to get their clients working and all that. Though, as much as people make fun of us for, there are several Mac users on the server, and if we are switching to a 4.3.4 server, you're going to have trouble. There is no native client out there for us. However, there is a workaround that I've been working on perfecting. It's worked for Krill, not so much for me. Then again, not me and technology don't exactly mix. But I'm working on a way so that way, if we do switch to a 4.3 server, or 4.3.4, blah, that we will be able to play still. So that way, we don't get left out because we want to make the switch, but we don't want to leave people behind.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know that there was a difference for Macintosh players. You guys got to really take a lot into consideration. I didn't know that.
It's not as simple as a lot of people paint it to be, as, oh, well, why don't you just, switch cores? Well, there's a lot more to it than that. A lot of it we can't even do. That's up to Credle or the people who are working on the core, so.
Oh, gotcha. So, did they pick out a OOC zone?
We are thinking about using GM Island just so that way, because a lot of the zones that we use, like Shatterspear, that gets taken over by Night Elves and Cataclysm, and it's a questing zone.
Wow.
Yeah, the Night Elves just kind of break in through the cave and slaughter them. The poor dancing trolls, that's all they wanted to do was dance. And we are thinking currently about using the untextured GMI, just because there is literally no texture on the land now. It's all white, glossy, no grass. We don't know why they did that. But considering that area has now been rendered useless for RP, we've been thinking about trying to, take the glare off a little bit with items, make it not as glaring bright, and using that as the OOC zone again.
That's tight. What, as far as story elements, RP possibilities? Because I just found out Orc Mages happen. Is there anything in Cataclysm that you're looking forward to specifically?
I'm looking forward to Blood Elf Warriors, personally. I mean, this is obvious, Blood Elves, but it's just been a long time coming. People have had to, stick with the Paladin class, saying that they're, a warrior, and, not be able to have access to things like Titan's Grip and all that, because, a Blood Elf dual-wielding a bunch of big swords would be totally awesome.
Agreed.
I'm also really excited for Worgen and for Night Elf Mages.
Agreed too. I already got a highborn character I'm thinking of, and Worgen. I think I'm probably gonna have like 4. I can't help it.
Only 4?
No, I'm lying. It's gonna be like 8.
The one thing players might want to expect is that we will be planning some Cataclysm lead-up events, so be on the lookout for stuff to start happening, because it will.
Cool. Like, what kind of events? Because like we've talked before, I have no clue about the storyline. What kind of events are we looking or possible, or do you not want to spoil it?
Well, people who know Cataclysm will know what happens. There's a lot of stuff with elemental unrest, the whole, giant dragon coming out of the sky, breaking continents.
Damn.
Oh man, definitely does a lot of destruction. Like, he literally saunters the lands. I forget what area it is. It's near a dwarf zone where the land is literally split down the center, and you just see this gaping chasm down there. And you also have a lot of Argent activities in the Plague Land, where they're actually healing the lands in the Plague Lands.
That sounds pretty incredible.
It does. Soon the Death Knights will have a pretty landscape to look at.
Yeah, so now it's my favorite part. I love this part. I think that it's great that this exists, and it's funny. Statistics. Not funny, haha, but funny. I'll go just, like I say, first of all, this isn't a contest. It's for people who are joining the server, coming back. You want to get into a guild that kind of has maybe a storyline going, or some active players you can meet across the server. I stress this very much because there will come a time where you want to RP and you don't know anybody who's on. So try to meet new people. This is a great way to do it. Guilds are awesome. We have a 2-way tie. Technically it's a 3-way tie, but it's for real a 2-way tie as far as activity is concerned for the 4th spot. So I'm gonna talk about number 5 briefly. It's been up here, I want to say maybe every time, if not out one. I know we've had some spur of the moment kind of guild coming up, but this is constant staple. Blades of Silverfang by Leiron, 22 members at number 5. Regan, you've had way more interaction with the Blades than I have. Can you give like a quick synopsis for those who don't know?
The Blades of Silverfang is a noble house and a military house run by Liron and Rubaria. They're cousins, and they both, kind of like co-head the guild and whatnot. The noble side is more headed by Liron, while the military side is more headed by Rubaria. They, it's actually a rather amusing guild. They have their moments. They're not all uptight, noble business. They have these moments where they like, might break a table and wrestle in pancakes if the timing is right. It's happened. Don't be surprised if it happens again. They're a really cool group of people. They're really nice, OCly, and they're just a fun bunch of people. I've been, hanging around in their Skype chat group, even though I'm not technically a member. But it's there's many laughs to be had with these guys. They're really a great group of people.
That's awesome. I've had some RP with the Blaze as well during our Noble business, and yeah, all I can do is echo everything Rika just said. Great group of people. Number four is tied at 27 members. Ash Wardens by, I don't know how to say this, Anthrion, I think. I think that's
Yeah, Krillari is, yeah, it's Krillari.
Regan. I'm about to throw this to her again because I don't know too much about their story. I did just join their last event, like I was saying, and it was great. But Regan, please.
The Ash Wardens are headed by Krillari's male warden who dresses in the traditional armor, so he's often mistaken as a female. Anthrion, I believe the name is said. Yes, it is a group of night elves mainly, though they accept other members. There's even a Tauren that hangs around that go about facing, the demonic threat within night elven lands like Ashen Vale, Fellwood, and all that. I haven't had much RP with them, though I do know that they, from what I've experienced with them, Krill has some pretty nice events going on with the Ash Wardens. They kick up idle RP that's not just event RP, so that's really great. They don't just, fall off the face of the earth when an event's over.
Yeah, I have another thing I'd like to say just for people who are kind of looking out, and if they're not familiar, Krillari's a name that's being brought up. He's a GM, and he's had, with the help of a couple other GMs, some very successful runs on fun event RP. And I think that from what I saw, it seems like he's still accomplishing the same with the Ash Wardens, and they're a very active guild. I see a lot of social RP that they have just in Ashen Vale. A lot of good players I saw. I know Corzilla's over there. Lenevi, I've seen the character. I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but a lot of active, real good night elves that I got to kind of just soak up some of their RP to get a feel for the race. It's night elves are pretty cool, but a little out there for me personally. Tied at number four with 27 as well is the Grey Militia, led by Xavier, Renson's character. Renson is an old school fogey. When I was here, Renson was old, and I think that Renson has a lot of RP to just be able to absorb. When, like I said in a older CoTH Cast, you have to observe somebody how to run before you can walk, before you can run. And I think to watch somebody who's been here for such a while, RP convincing characters and funny characters like Xavier, is just good to be around. The Grey Militia, to my knowledge, is a mercenary group led by Xavier, who has ties to Regan. I'm not sure how, but I know that they were going on missions. They set up camp, I want to say, in Ratchet and the Rocks, and just like a cool group of mercenary types. I want to say that they're cross faction, but I'm not sure.
They are cross faction, yes.
Cool. Okay, yeah, the Deadeye Watchers, led by Kagrin, which I want to say is Raugen on the
Rogan.
Rogan. 29 total members taking the third spot. I didn't know this was a lore group, so Regan, this is you too.
I actually don't know all that much about orcs, to be honest. I was surprised to find out that the Deadeye Watchers was a lore group. Although I've been in some of their events, and I have to say that they have really nice events, and they're very well set up. And from a GM standpoint, I love working with these guys for help. They'll just be like, "Oh, I want this area that sounds like this." You have to go through a bunch of areas, and then they're not sure what they want there. They know they want something, but they're not sure what, and the GMs end up doing half the work for them.
Right,
so it's really
right.
nice working with these guys that have their plan set out, so the setup comes quick.
That's a great point. I'm glad you said that. If you have an idea, because a lot of these guilds have events. Maybe these flavors aren't for you, and you want to start your own guild. A good way to get the server's attention to get activity are to lead events. You want to make sure that you have constant social RP. But leading events is very crucial, I think. They don't have to be anything grandiose, but they're going to happen eventually. And when you deal with GMs, make sure that you do know what you want and how you want it structured. What kind of characters are you looking for, mobs and things like that, and where. Because I think that GMs would be even more inclined to work with others if they had a very concise idea and something that was, I guess, bounded in the possibilities of lore. The Dead-Eye Watchers, I fought a whole bunch of demons in Fellwood, I want to say, when we were on there. Just a crusade of just orcs. Good to see that kind of natural orcish kind of culture personified. It's a great group, action, nice camaraderie. Rekka's awesome. I've seen a couple GMs in there. Daichi. So just look. That's most definitely one to look in. Loxy's Adrandri. How do you say that? I think that's it. I don't know.
I
Blood
have
Knight.
no idea.
That's a Loxy name. Loxy is my homie. I love Loxy Box, but man, I cannot say half of her characters' names correctly. So many consonants. That one's actually got a lot of vowels. But anyways, Blood Knights, number 2, 44 members. That's cool. I like seeing this. I got a couple of Blood Knights or Paladins that I'm really wanting to put in this guild. I'm not sure as far as events. I haven't seen any events that they do, but I know that they have quite a bit of social RP, and they are tied to other events, especially in Elven lands, just because they're the fucking Blood Knights. I've seen them at the Conclave of Silver Moon led by Regan, and a couple of other things where Blood Knights would be necessary. Anything that you got to add on that? I know you've worked with them before.
I know right now they're a bit of an inactive slump because Loxy's computer decided to blow up on her, or whatever it did on her. So, she wants to get them active, but, she kind of can't with her computer being broken. So it's a lot of what's going on now is up to the members and not up to her. I've seen them show up at the Fading Scar events and, Conclave events. I've seen them, around Silver Moon. They're pretty active as far as social RP goes. You see Blood Knights around all the time.
Right.
You just need to get them in mass and get them to do an event. Maybe have one of the higher ranking officers start some events on them, which we'd all be happy to help with. Especially me, because hey, Bulletos!
Yeah, know what you want to do if you bring an idea. Going to number 1. You already know who it is. I'm not going to get super excited, even though I always do. Black Harvest, led by Saul's Jared Richter. Black Harvest, if you're curious about them, look up any other CoTH Cast. They got forums, they got, everything. 67 members. He was teetering an ignorant level of like almost 100 and might have even got there, but he wanted to cut down a lot of his inactive members, and make sure that he had a good idea for who was actually still with the guild. I'm still at 67, number 1, so like I said, and I will keep saying, it's for anyone who really wishes to try to hop into some RP. That's what's most important. Gonna move on to my second favorite part. Alright, yeah, I'm just gonna do a quick rundown of population ratio. Last 24 hours, of course, more Horde, even though it was really close, 50.1%. Last 2 days, Alliance by 0.1% more, 39.5 to 39.4. Last week, Horde, considerable, 50.7 to 49.3. But the total players is still Alliance, and it looks like they're increasing 51.3% to 48.7. So we really need to have a legitimate conquest of the Horde. Worgans ain't gonna help, but there's a lot of people that for some reason are excited about goblins. So
the goblins are awesome. What are you talking about?
I guess. Characters shared by race. Going to do the top 3, bottom 3. Humans are running it, then Blood Elves, of course. But humans, I think, got like 200 on them. And then it's a neck and neck between Night Elves. What's your favorite race, Regan, besides Blood Elves, of course?
That are available to right now or in general?
Both.
Available to right now, my second favorite race would have to be Night Elves. It's a big surprise, they're still elves. In general, my second favorite race would have to be Worgen, because I really like Worgen.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about them too. If you got a character that if you're trying to just, I guess, be not so common. Dwarves at 4.8%, 249. I just rolled one dwarf. I enjoy him very much. Gnomes and Tauren. I think Tauren are the least played race on the server, and they're awesome. So make a Tauren. Character shared by class. Most common is warriors, rogues, then mage. I can't figure out why rogues are number two. Regan, do you like rogues?
Um, I guess rogues are the go-to class for commoners. So if you have a common character, you're more than likely going to be rolling a rogue.
I'm surprised you wouldn't roll a warrior.
Well, not that many commoners suit up in full plate.
True. Let's see. The least played classes would be shaman, druid, and death knight. But
I'm
that's
surprised about Death Knights being one of the least common.
yeah, me too. Actually, I mean, I'm sure it's got to be because you gotta be a grunt to be one, but I figured that they'd be pretty high.
Who doesn't love the brooding, dark, mysterious Death Knights? Come on.
They're extremely badass. Extremely.
Not biased at all.
Right. Characters shared by level. This is pretty obvious just because you got your 1 through 9s, your 50s, and your 80s. But yeah, I think this was a great. It may have been way too long, and I apologize if it is, but it's good information. I'll cut it up. I have a very old interview with Regan that I gotta put out. I was just real lazy about it. Regan, thanks for joining me. I appreciate the time. Is anything you'd like to say to the server before we vamos?
Remember that us GMs are not out to get you as much as people like to say that we are. We're really friendly and we really want to work with you. So, if you have a problem, just come to one of us. We're more than happy to help you.
Hey, are we still about to do Fade and Scar events?
Oh yeah, we're doing that today.
Today? Where?
The same time last time. I announced this a while ago.
Damn. I had no clue. That's dope.
No one pays attention to the event planning forum. I'm even guilty of this.
Yeah, I never really know.
Yeah, it's gonna be after Orvisha's orcish wedding.
That's today?
Yes!
Really?
That is also today at 12 p.m. server. Get with the times, man!
I guess. Damn, I didn't know that was today. Okay, I got it up. But the thing is every time I try to talk, it's my page up button, so my shit scrolls up.
Clearly you need to pick a new button.
Yeah, oh yeah. Mission accomplished.